Okay, here we are with On1 Photo Raw. It starts off in the browse. Well, actually, you can change where it starts off, but by default, you start off in the browse module. First things first, we're going to change some preferences. I already have just my color space settings to Adobe RGB. You can throttle performance if you so choose. Change your cache size. Drop these cloud services off the list, which I actually don't use, so maybe I should. And PhotoVia, which we will delve into in a different video probably. Okay, so on the left hand side is our navigation. Here's all the hard drives on my computer. Indexed folders, so I've got my entire NAS indexed and a quick little workflow folder just for here. Your recent filters, you can filter by color, rating, as you would expect. And when we're in here, the hotkeys are the same as you're familiar with in Lightroom. So P to pick, X to reject, U to unflag, 1 to 5 to rate, 6 to 0 for your colors. The only thing that's different from Lightroom is you cannot double, like you can't hit 6 twice to undo turning something red. So that's a little unfortunate. Hopefully something that can get changed, because I do use colors a lot. I know some people don't. On the right hand side we have our navigation to jump between the modules, info box with all our exif data, author, yada yada yada. And at any time in any module, if you have these double arrows, you can hide that part of the interface. Okay, so we're going to work with this photo today. Just double click, it opens up, a little bit of a sunset. First thing I'm going to do, jump right into develop. Okay, on the left side now are our presets, and on the right side is our navigation. So if I'm zoomed in, you can see sort of where you're located, and adjust your zoom level, as well as adjust your zoom level from the top right, top left, and this little bar along the bottom here. Quite exciting. From here we can switch to a film strip view. See our nearby photos. I prefer the loop view. Okay, by default, all we have available to us is the tone and color workspace. All the other ones are hidden under show more, and you can turn on as many as you want. We'll work our way down through them. Okay, so as you may be familiar with from Lightroom, turn that off just so it doesn't freak anybody out. As you may be familiar with, exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows. I actually think my exposure here is pretty good, so I can double click to reset. A little more contrast maybe, but I want to use a little bit more local contrast, so we're going to skip that. Maybe bring my highlights down a touch, push up my shadows, bring down my blacks to compensate. Now we can turn off our preview down here just to see what I've done to it. Structure works a lot like the Instagram structure slider. Adds local contrast, but this does it to the whole image. May not be what you're looking for. In this case, I don't really have as much cloud detail that I could go crazy with, so I could add a little bit, but I'm going to skip it. Haze, instead of dehaze, you can just haze, dehaze. Now again, there we go. Although it is good for spot removal, it's not exactly as subtle as the Lightroom tool, and the Lightroom tool is about as subtle as a bull at a china shop. So we can add a little bit. Doesn't hurt anybody. Down in color, you have your white balance, all your presets, and as you mouse over, you can actually preview them. So this is a shot, but if I wanted to get a little bit more sunsetty, I can change my white balance. There's another way to do this, so we're going to skip that as well. One interesting thing, it can identify skin tones and protect it from your vibrance changes. Highlights may have a little bit of yellow, and you can increase the purity. In this case, it's going to basically give me a black and white sky, which I'm not interested in. Shadows tend to be a little cooler, and I can pull that out. But again, pretty much going to end up black and white. And I really like the tones in this image. I'm not gonna mess with that. We can hide it. Curves do exist if you're one of those people. I'm not a big curves guy, but by all means, there it is. And you can just delete if you're not going to use it. Color adjustment. This is like the HSL in Lightroom, except the L is now B for brightness. All your colors are down here, and of course, previews. Won't affect much in this image. And again, I kind of like the tones already. I'm going to add a little bit of orange to it, but otherwise I'm happy. Goodbye. Black and white adjustment. Here are your color filters. Give you an idea maybe of where you want to go. Then you can adjust to taste. Film grain has presets as well. Some are stronger than others. None are going to show up for you here. Let's zoom in. There you go. Actually, I don't know if that'll render in the video, but you can see the grain's getting pretty crazy with the T-Max 3200. Okay, not using that either. Glow. Glow's going to soften your image. There you can see it there, pretty crazy. Basically negative clarity. There are some that don't look terrible, but I'm going to just pretend that didn't happen. Noise reduction. If you recall from our info, we're at ISO 50. Not a lot of noise to be had, but when you do it, one of the interesting things is the apply to slider, and again your presets, but so apply to all highlights, midtones, shadows, just the reds. Really interesting, but not really necessary for us. Skin retouching we don't need at all, and I'll talk about that later. Split toning, not the way I'm gonna go about it, but a cool option nonetheless. Maybe that even. Oops. And you can swap the colors. And once you've picked something you like, let's go with something ridiculous. It's actually not half bad. You can add a new style to add to this list. Now this isn't a preset for over here. You would create one of those right here and include what you want. Okay, so split toning can go away as well. Transform. This is your lens corrections. This lens is pretty good, and I'm pretty far from my subject, so I didn't have any real problems with it. Other than, as I'm sure someone's going to say, straightening it. We can do that now. Go to the crop tool, and we have level. You can actually choose how many degrees you want to rotate by, or take the let's fix our take the level tool and just draw a nice little line. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And that was only -1 degree. I was off by 1 degree. Come on, it's not bad. That's it. We can vignette as well. I typically don't vignette all that much. I'll actually correct for it if my lens does it, but in this image with the building centered, it could be worthwhile. So let's go into effects, And let's add a vignette. Again, I'm not big on it. Subtle is maybe too subtle, but the big softy, I don't know. I feel it's too much. Yeah, that works for me. But if you've overdone it, much like a layer in Photoshop, once you've got your settings, rather than playing with them, now you can adjust the opacity of the layer. Or the filter, I should say. I'm pretty happy with it, but I tend to back things off a bit. Anyway, now I wanted to change the color. I can do that in a couple ways, but I want to use a photo filter. We got some presets here. Grad filter. Wonderful. I actually kind of like this look. Might be a bit much. And again, I can either change it here, or I can just adjust the opacity down. Get a little bit of color in it. Not bad, not bad. Actually, this would be a good one to demo. You can actually do masking. So here we go. Grab my brush. I'm gonna paint out this guy. Maybe I just want it on the buildings, and I'm a little worried about around the edge of the building. So if I turn on, first of all, let's shrink this ridiculous brush. If I turn on the perfect brush, it's gonna try and mouse clap for me. Lovely. Now my ridiculous brush is important. Lovely. So now if I turn this on and off, you'll notice I haven't gotten rid of it entirely. Do the opacity settings here. Warms it up a bit. Without coloring, I mean, the blue sky is going to be, you know, hopefully blue. And now that we've adjusted it, I can probably bring this up a bit to compensate. Lovely. The color enhancer basically is our HSL slash white balance and the highlight recovery that we saw, but again we can do it with a mask. Tone enhancer is all of our basic toning, but it also includes compression, which will kind of flatten your image, and in this case we've gone to some work to add some contrast, so we don't want to do too much of that. But it does add a little bit of detail, which is a little soft, and careful with that clarity. And that looks too strong. But again, back the whole thing off. Okay, especially because we can use some dynamic contrast. And with its default settings, it's a little crazy and a little much in the sky. You know what? Maybe this guy's not bad. But we're gonna drop that. Maybe a bit much, but good enough for our purposes. Good enough for Instagram. HDR look. There we go. Just agony. But it's something people want. It's something they've got to add. Here's black and white again. Very fancy. Again, I like the colors here. I'm not going to mess with it. Okay, and I want to show a few things. So before we do anything, I'm going to reset this whole image. That includes effects, develop, everything. And I'm just going to heal out some of these sensor spots. It's super fast while you're drawing and a little bit of a hiccup when you let go. We've got one down here. One thing I do miss is the visualized spots from Lightroom. But I guess you can crank up the contrast and see what happens. Or even the structure. Yeah, guess we're okay. No, and I do have to redo my leveling, but again, it was super easy to do, or I already know it's, oh, -2 that time. I guess I screwed up. You know what? It does look too far the other way. We have one, and let's just stretch this out a bit. Take what we can get. Okay. So now, all that stuff that we had a lot of fun doing, if we go into presets, landscape, quite a few options. But if we click this here, it gives us bigger thumbnails, and you can see what your image is going to look like. And some of these, you know, maybe look pretty good. One that's reminiscent of what we just did is maybe the magic sunset here. And it's all done with a handful of effects. And again, I don't think that vignette is as subtle as I like, but so that was the click of a single button using the included preset. I know the included presets in Lightroom are a little lacking, but you can also go settings, get more presets, or import preset. But when we go get more, jumps us to the On1 website. We have a bunch of options. Let's go darkroom. Download the zip file, which I've already imported. Boom. So it's one file, and if I go back into On1 now, it's going to install the darkroom preset package. Not preset, preset package. I say yes. Boom, and it has installed 20 new files. So now this would have been added if it weren't already there. And okay, these aren't the best presets, but they now exist. And actually, a bunch of these, film black and white, etc. Hipster, which I'm scared of. Those look like light leaks. Yeah, that's the light leak set. Ugh. But some of them, you know, handy. And you can always delete the ones you don't want, export them, update them slightly. So if I were going to keep Magic Sunset around, I would fix my vignette like I did, right click it, and say update preset with current settings, yes, 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 update, done. Now when I reset this image, and I'm going to lose my straightening, and I do Magic Sunset, the vignette's not as powerful as it was before. And again, super easy. Nailed it. Alright. Now it gets interesting. Gonna jump into layers just to show you that it's there. This isn't maybe a great candidate for it. Got extras. Files is on your hard drive. Extras is included. The package. I don't want borders. I want backgrounds. Skies. And yes, that's correct. We can do some sky replacement. I don't know that any of these are a great fit, but let's go crazy. Add as a new layer rather than opening it as a photo itself. Move tool. I'm gonna put it maybe over this way. Scale it a bit. And that looks nasty. Let's apply. And now I'm gonna just let myself see what's going on behind it. Grab myself a brush. I'm gonna paint out a large portion of it. Just right along here, because the perfect brush should keep this. So I paint in, bring this to a little more reasonable size. Perfect brush. I start here. Not perfect after all, is it? Switch back to paint out. Bring my size down. And maybe my feathering too. Not ideal, but I said this wasn't a great candidate, so if I hit save, it'll create a PSD file right in the same folder, which will then be added to our browse view. However, I never want to see this again. There's your PSD. Okay, what I do want, and you can do this from any module, but I'm going to do it from browse, or it's already mostly complete. Although I see now that I forgot to reheal. Nothing matters. So export. Renders our photo. Choose from JPEG, Photoshop, PSB, TIFF, and PNG or PNG. 92 quality. Whatever quality floats your boat. Let's not start any fights. I'm gonna put it in the same folder with the same name. Don't have any other JPEGs with this name. Export. Rendering, loading. And it will spit out a JPEG, which will then show up in my... There we go. Oh, and I had shown Explorer set. So there's our JPEG. And if we go to browse, change back to library view, there's our JPEG right there, and we can go in, pick reject, and even edit. Non-destructively, I'll add. Nothing happens until you export. Do our healing rate on the JPEG. It's a dusty sensor day, I'll tell you that. Oh, that's better than not having tried it. I think I got them all. Good enough for Instagram. Now export again, so I can actually post it. So I got current name, print name plus text, and I'm gonna say dash healed, and export. Retouching photo. So this is now a copy of a copy, which makes everyone super excited, I'm sure. And there's the copy dash healed copy. So here's my JPEG. And there's the healed version. Very nice. Gets rid of all my spots. Yeah, that's all there is to it. It's pretty straightforward. It's a decent package. A little different getting used to than Lightroom. I still prefer the Lightroom workflow, but it's growing on me. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.